Soundsmith Brand Music. Please welcome Mr. Rajeev Raja. Loud round of applause, please.
Hello, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? This session is all about sound. And today we were talking about, the session before this was talking about all the various possibilities in out of home. And we spoke of how the digital media is also reaching out of home. And traditionally, one dimension that has been ignored or muted, shall I say, has been sound, right? While in traditional advertising, sound has been used. We know India has many, many famous brands with many, many famous jingles. But when we started off, we asked this question: if the whole world were blind, how would your brand be recognized? And this was around 13 years ago when we started as BrandMusiq. The whole idea was to create India's first sonic branding agency, an agency that created the sound of a brand in a holistic sense, just as every brand has a visual identity and a logo is a part of that. We said we will create a sonic identity for brands and a MOGO or musical logo being a part of that, right? So this was the question we used to ask: if the whole world were blind, how would your brand be recognized? Now, the truth was 13 years ago, it was difficult to imagine the world being blind. But today, these words are seeming prophetic because more and more brands are, and mediums are emerging where audio is first. And we'll tell you more about it. So before we begin the session, let me take you all through a sonic experience. So this is my flute, and I'm going to play a short piece on my flute. And I invite all of you to close your eyes. I know you've just had coffee, so hopefully you won't doze off. So just close your eyes, go where the music takes you. And while you're listening, you will actually see some imagery, you may feel some emotions, it may trigger some memories. We'll come back and have a quick chat about what you all saw and felt. Is that a deal? Okay, so eyes closed everybody, here goes. Does anybody want to start? You can just shout out one word of an image you saw or a feeling you felt. Who wants to go? Waterfall. Okay, please shout loud. I have to hear you. Nature. Brilliant.
Early morning.
Early morning. Fantastic. Anybody else? Did anybody feel a sense of nostalgia? Did you go back to your childhood? How many? Yeah? Okay. So see, I can almost predict how many of you all heard Malgudi Days or something close to it. Okay. I'm sure a lot of you all may have gone back to the backwaters in Kerala, or you other people may have seen paddy fields, or the amazing thing is, wherever in the world played this, not just to an Indian audience, everybody gets the theme of nature when they hear this piece of music. It's a composition of mine called Peace, and it is designed to make you feel this way. It's not by accident that you're feeling this way. And why is it designed to make you feel this way? This particular scale that I used, or rag, is a rag called Hamsadvani. And those of you who are from the south would have instantly recognized it, because the famous song Vatapi Ganapathim is composed out of Hamsadvani rag. Okay? So what makes this rag special? It uses only 5 notes. It uses only these 5 notes. That's it. There are thousands of compositions using only these 5 notes, permutations and combinations. But this particular expression will make you feel very calm, very peaceful. And it's because of these 5 notes and their combination intervals between them that you get this calm, peaceful, easy feeling. Right? So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the power of sound. Now we know sound can take you places. Somebody said that they saw early morning. Now nobody can see night when they hear this piece of music. It's impossible, right? So let's change that around a bit. Let's see if we can move from early morning, from dawn to dusk. So let me play the original 3 notes, and then I'll change only the 3rd note, and you get a different feeling. So the original 3 notes. Now I'll change only the 3rd note. Did you feel sad? Did you feel a little melancholy? And you probably move from dawn to dusk, right? So one note change, and your feelings can change, your emotions can change, and this is where we started. We said, just imagine the power of sound. If you're able to understand the science of sound and the art of music, our Indian raga system is really rich with all this knowledge of what ragas can do to your emotional responses. We said, let's use this understanding to create the sound of a brand, right? Now we know a brand is like a human being, and just as every human being sitting here has a different DNA, so also does every brand have a different DNA. Coke and Pepsi may be the same colored waters, but their brands are very distinct. The brands have a DNA. So we said if we understand the science of sound, we are able to create the DNA, the sonic DNA of a brand through this process. This is what we've been doing for the past 13 years, designing and managing the sonic identity of a brand. When we designed the sound of a brand, we handed it over to our brand owners. And today, we are getting lots of requests from brands asking us to manage the sonic assets across the incredible number of media possibilities that you have. Because it's not like the old days when 15 years ago, all you needed to do was to put ting, ting, ting at the end of your television spot and everybody would hear it. Today you can't do that. You have to be present in all the media, and therefore you need a sonic identity to be able to travel across all your various media options. Let me take you through a case study. We got some incredible early breaks before we came to this, and I must make mention of HDFC Bank and Ashish Morone. Ashish, stand up. One of our first breaks, one big brand that saw the potential of sonic branding, and HDFC Bank, in fact, led us on to many, many, many more beautiful and things. So here we are being asked to create the sound of MasterCard across 190 countries. It was a global project, and we went about it. We have a simple process. The first process is to understand the brand, the DNA of the brand, as I said, sharing some sonic sketches of sound that brands will say, this is close to what my brand can be. This sound, no. That death metal rock guitar, that's not part of my brand sound. That's too radical, etc. And finally, we create a sonic identity system. Now, part of this is something we call a brand avatar. Right? What is the avatar of your brand? And this is actually just likening it to human beings and using the psychologist Carl Jung's model of archetypes. We prefer to call them avatars because it's how you want your brand to be perceived by people. What avatar do you want them to perceive you as, or do you want to project? So you could be a ruler brand, you could be a creator brand, you could be a sage brand, so on and so forth. Mercedes-Benz, ruler brand. Apple, creator brand. HDFC Bank, caregiver brand with a lot of innovation in it, so creator-caregiver combination, right? So once we get the avatar combination, we actually then begin designing the sound of the brand. So let's take MasterCard. MasterCard said they're a combination of magician, we're a magical brand, we create priceless moments, and of every person, of Aam Aadmi, right? Why magician? Because of priceless moments. Why every person? Because they're in the debit card and credit card category. Everybody is invited across gender, geography, socio-economic strata, and so forth. The next question we ask, again going back to our Indian heritage, we have a concept called rasas. Rasas essentially is the endeavor of every artist, whether it is in music, whether it's drama, theatre, etc., to evoke emotions of the audience. And there are 9 principal rasas that we know of in India, and this is actually proven by research even globally, that these are the 9 principal emotions that all human beings go through, from a sense of love or shringara, to hasya, which is laughter, happiness, or karuna, which is compassion, and so on and so forth. Now, when we get this avatar and rasa combination, we are able to create the sound of a brand, and we'll tell you how. So, let's look at MasterCard rasas. The rasas were a sense of joy, optimism, deriving from the sense of happiness that they deliver, as well as adbhuta, or surprise, wonderment, because of the priceless surprises and moments that they create. Now, having put all this together, how do we move to sound? What does magical sound like? Close your eyes and listen to a Walt Disney film. You will hear what magical sounds like. The use of instruments such as the glockenspiel, little musical box tones, magical chimes. These are all embedded in our subconscious. When we hear it, we immediately feel a sense of magic. So we use these. Now, if we are looking at optimism and joy, we're looking at an upbeat kind of rhythm, etc., to bring this all to life. Now, we have 3 elements of our sonic identity system. Something we call a MOGO-scape, which is the master composition for the brand, a MOGO, or musical logo, and in the digital age, we create a mini MOGO. Now, a MOGO is around 3 to 4 seconds. A mini MOGO is less than 1.5 seconds, but it comes from the brand MOGO-scape. So now, let's have a listen to a bit of MasterCard's MOGO-scape. Very simple melody. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Can you sing with me? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so it's a longer piece. Now let's listen to the MOGO or musical logo. That's the MOGO on every piece of MasterCard communication across the world, right? Now let's listen to the mini MOGO, 1.5 seconds, a digital tone. It has to be faster. Do you hear that? So now whenever a MasterCard is tapped or swiped on any POS machine in the world, you'll hear the mini MOGO. In the New York subway, if a MasterCard is tapped, you'll hear the mini MOGO, right? 57 million outlets. The mini MOGO plays over 100, 200, 300 times a day. Okay, so once we create the sound, we map it across what we call ear points or audio touch points, right? Now you can see there's something missing at the top. I'm going to include out of home. How can we use sound in out of home? Let's think about it. We're all creative people here. It's a huge gap and a huge opportunity. Yeah? So let's watch a little bit of the MasterCard TVC. I won't play the whole thing, time is short. Listen to the background score. The MasterCard logo and the MOGO come together, right? But we didn't stop there. How would this travel across the world? Let's listen to Middle East version, same melody. Latin America. India. Across moods and occasions, emotional. EDM for MasterCard Priceless Nights. The sponsors of EPL and European League, can we have a football anthem? How did they activate it during COVID? Nobody was allowed into the stadiums. The footballers were feeling lonely. So they sent this to all their fans and said, just shoot yourselves doing the digital wave. They stitched it together into a giant digital video and ran it on the big screens in the empty stadiums while the footballers were playing the European League. Right? This was their call for entry. How does the mini MOGO play out on e-commerce?
Smart speaker. Order right up front of the gate.
Your order has been placed.
Very important for financial transactions for there to be a reassuring sound, right? Plus branding also built in. That's just a glimpse, but 5 years in a row, MasterCard has been winner of the best audio brand. And let's now give you some snippets of other examples. The HDFC Bank ATM, every time you put the debit card in, you will hear the MOGO. Zomato. Zing. Not even 1 second, but very clearly Zomato. Vistara. I'm going to leave you all with some provocations. How can we bring sound into out of home? We know there are restrictions. Sound can be intrusive. But I'm sure if we put our creative minds together, we can create some magic out of home together with branded sound. Okay? So, how many of you all have seen this? Right? We didn't do it, disclaimer, but we wish we had. Right? But so whenever it rained, Rag Malhar or the Raga of the Rains would play as the raindrops hit the billboard. Yeah? I'll just tell you about this, but we did an experiential session where we played different pieces of music while people tasted the same chocolate. The chocolate tasted different when they heard car horns and traffic sounds versus when they heard a beautiful piece of nature, birds chirping. Right? So sound can affect taste and flavors. And here is another great idea called audio spotlighting.
The Audio Spotlight is a revolutionary new audio technique.
Basically, you can spotlight light, but you can't spotlight sound. I think this has major implications on out of home because now you can create billboards where sound is only heard when you're in front of the billboard. The minute you cross the zone of that billboard, you no longer hear it. So it need not be intrusive. These are some of the thoughts. Let's MOGO. Thank you.
That was an amazing sound, right? The applause. That's an awesome sound. Sir, if you could continue to be with us on stage, I'm going to now invite from Alak, Neeta Gulati, to join us. She's got 3 questions. I don't know if people were busy typing out questions or just completely immersed in your session. And but I'm sure we'll get to know right now.
About the role of music. And so most of the questions that I've got are also related to the same. The first question is from Mr. Shekhar Naraswamy, Times Innovative. How can we get people with disabilities experience the larger-than-life feel of OAC through music?
Any specific disabilities or in general? I guess.
In general, I think. Probably by vision.
Yeah, I think, definitely. There are so many possibilities of helping the visually impaired. Now, if you all have been to Singapore, you will hear every traffic light has got sound, right? So it tells the visually impaired when it's safe to cross using sound. Now, these are amazing possibilities. Can we lead the visually impaired to every HDFC ATM, right? When they're passing in the vicinity, we can trigger through sensors the HDFC MOGO, so the visually impaired know that there's an ATM close by, and sound can take them there. Done? Yeah, okay. So, sorry, did that answer your question? The possibilities are enormous. Yeah.
Second is by Shahul Hamid, Add On More. Just as neuromarketing uses eye tracking to gauge the visual impact of advertisements, are there advanced tools available that can analyze how different sounds and audio elements in ad affects consumer perception and behavior?
Brilliant. There are many ways to do it, but one of the ways brands are doing it is through neuromapping. So just as eye movements are tracked for visual, you can track brain waves on certain predetermined parameters and understanding of brainwave movements and actually link it to the emotions that get generated when you hear a piece of sonic or a piece of music. So yes, it can definitely be done. Brands are doing it. We have done it with many brands.
And the third question is from none other than Nabendu. How much ever you try, you have to incorporate his question. It is sensor-based kiosk we can put in malls. cyber hub, or selling point to create moonscape, MOGO, mini MOGO as OH medium. As an outdoor display, sound is not allowed.
Yes. Yeah. So, the beauty of the creative mind is that you try and transcend restriction, right? So, let's take this as a challenge. Now, during Wimbledon, they projected some key points of the match on the Tower of London with audio, right? So I'm sure there are places we can use it, and I also gave you the example of audio spotlighting. So that is non-intrusive, etc. So maybe we should lobby to change the rules a bit, as long as it's not intrusive, that it can add value to the experience. Sound should be allowed.
Which question is the best?
I would go for the visually impaired. Thank you.
Request you all to kindly join us center stage. Can we please have the check being brought up onto stage? Well, this is the last question for today. When it comes to the Q&A session, lots of questions coming up in the next session. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause. And we've got a memento. Can we request Ms. Neeta Gulati to kindly do us the honors and present this memento? Let's capture this center stage, ladies and gentlemen.